Welcome, everybody, to a brand new weekend at the Big M, and thanks for joining us. And joining us now in the Sulky, we like to call him former golf pro turned trainer, none other than Delaware resident Joe Holloway. And Joe, I've known you for a long, long time, but I never knew how you got started racing horses. Was your family in it when you were a kid?
No, I went to a Catholic grade school, and the parish priest had horses. My father was friends with him, and I started going up to Brandywine Raceway, and I started taking care of horses after school, and we've done it ever since.
A lot of the parish priests I know like to bet on horses, but very few ever owned horses. That's a pretty unique way to get involved. In the early years of the Meadowlands, I think it was in the 80s, you teamed up with David Rovine, and you guys won everything in sight. George S., Tough Choice, you were on quite a roll back then.
We were on a great roll, and but at that time there wasn't near the opportunities for the overnight horses that there are now. And we had horses in the top class at each of the tracks around, but we had grown about as big and done about anything that we could.
Now, David Rovine had the reputation as being quite a salesman. I understand he did the talking and you did all the work. Did he even know how to harness up a horse?
Oh, he knew how to harness up a horse, but he did do that. He was great at the promotions, and it was a great thing because it let me concentrate on training the horses. And you know, he talked to the owners, he put together the partnerships, we went to the sales, so it worked great.
Everybody dreams about that once-in-a-lifetime horse, and you got to experience that dream back in the mid-'90s with the great Jennas Beach Boy. At one time, I think he was the only horse that had won under 150 on every size racetrack, half, 5/8 and a mile.
Right. Yeah, that's correct. He was a special racehorse. He may never have accomplished in the stallion shed what he did on the racetrack, but he was special. I mean, when he went 150 on each size track, he shattered the world records. I mean, they were by a couple seconds. And he was a phenomenal racehorse. I was great to have him. And, like you say, everybody wants to experience it. Larry Rebin said it best one time because Ray had beach towel. And ever since, he goes, both you and my brother, you want to go chasing the next one?
Well, let's look at everybody chasing Jennas Beach Boy in his world record effort in the Alfred Driscoll Memorial when he won in 147-3. And you beat some pretty good horses. This is back in 1996. We pick it up here. Bill Fay is your driver. You're sitting in the 2-hole, and I believe you're following Riyadh, if I'm not mistaken. Take us through this race.
Yeah, I remember at the quarter, I think we left, there was like 3 lead changes up to that point. It had been a great horse race. And this is the second time between these two that they ever got down there in 119 and a piece, which I remember Ray Remen telling me when they got there in 122. But he said the first time Beach Tower ever hit there in 119, that he got limp. Billy O'Donnell said it about Annihilator. That was extreme speed for back then. And but we were ready to rock now, and he wasn't the way he was 3 weeks before. This is about his 6th start as a 4-year-old, and he was exceptional.
And it had rained earlier that night, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, yeah, I think the Driscoll was like the 4th race, and it rained, so everything set up. The world record at that time, that was extremely. It shattered. It wasn't like, I think the next fastest race on the card might have went 50. So that was a big race.
Now, you mentioned that Jennas Beach Boy really didn't pan out as a stallion, but he had some bad luck that people forget about. Storm Island, who was the Wilson favorite as a 2-year-old from his first crop, died, and then you had a colt named Louie II that died early in his 3-year-old year. That was a high-speed horse. If those two horses don't have that misfortune, maybe it's a different story.
It is that. It's a lot of stuff when stallions come out, and they were both early on in his crops, and he had some $1 million winners, just he didn't have the big horse, and that's what they need.
So you had the fastest male pacer in Jennas Beach Boy, and last fall at Lexington, you came up with the fastest female pacer in history, the 3-year-old She Be Stingin'. Here she is in the Garnsey Memorial, winning in an incredible 147. And you and I have seen a lot of races. You can tell when they're going fast, but man, she was flat out smoking.
Yeah, actually, David and I just talked about it last night because we had trained She Be Stingin' up here. And you're going fast, but I thought we had the world record, but I didn't know she was going 47. That's a 27 flat last quarter. And like David had put away the whip about 150 yards before, he said, had he known he was going 47, he might have tried to see if he could go right to the bottom of the tank. But you have no idea. I mean, we thought she was pacing about 48-1, 48-2, and that would have been the world record, and we would have been ecstatic. There's always this year. Maybe there could be a repeat.
Well, She Be Stingin' was a bit of a project for you, too. At times, she was her own worst enemy. You kind of had to hold your breath every time behind the gate to make sure she stayed pacing.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing there is she had a stress fracture too and was very, very lightly raced. And so far this year, she's trained back and been excellent. Maybe it was just if she'd have had another few starts at 2, she would have been more relaxed and known what it was about. She's a pretty high-strung horse.
Well, let's take a look at her final start of 2013 right here at the new Meadowlands in the Nadia Lobel, and you won it comfortably for fun. And your arch rival, I Love the Nightlife, was actually scratched because she was injured. As good as She Be Stingin' was, you couldn't touch I Love the Nightlife all season long.
No, up to then, we never did. I mean, the one night at the Poconos, we had made a break and never made the gate. That was the night she didn't come down pacing. A couple other times, we got a tough trip. I mean, parked to the quarter in 25. But no excuse. I mean, you got to be there. You got to take the fight as it comes. I wish Nightlife had raced then, because by then I thought Sting was maturing, and I would have liked to have had one more shot at her. We'd only been 1 for 4 against her, but I think we could have taken her.
All right, well, maybe we'll find out this year when I Love the Nightlife comes back.
Hope so for Nightlife's sake, because she's coming back off an injury. But I hope so, because my mare is good.
And speaking of coming back, you've got a 3-year-old pacing colt that was probably as good a looking 2-year-old we saw last year in the baby races here at the Big M. It's an Indiana bred by a horse you raced, Always a Virgin, a champion pacer. His name is Always Be Mickey. Here he is in action, winning early at the Meadowlands last year. Started making little skips and then breaks and fell apart. How is he going to come back this year? Big-time player or just an Indiana Stakes horse?
I wish I knew her. We wouldn't have made all the stake payments for the North American Cup, Meadowlands Pace, or what have you. He's on the cusp. I just don't know. Mitchell Skolnick, Marty Granoff, Joe Holloway, they're basically the form. And there's some other partners on a smaller piece. Just don't know. He has the speed to go with the very best, but we'll find out. If it takes a lot to go, especially in the 3-year-old colt ranks. It's a tough group of horses. I can't even name who's going to be the tough ones, but it's a war week in and week out.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck with Always Be Mickey. You've got 2 in tonight. First race, number 2, All the Buzz. This is her coming home in her first start here at the Meadowlands, and she was flying at the finish for Dave Miller once you shook free. You raced her damn Ideal News, who I always liked, and this is a sister to Escape the News. How about tonight?
I think she's very good. David will look to try to trip her out, I hope, because it's only her second lifetime start. That's why he sat in there, and he had to come. He didn't come first over. It is a lesson for her. I think she's the best, but we're not like just going to go to the top, and hopefully there's bigger things for her down the road. But she's in a spot. She should be able to win.
And you've got one other starter tonight, and that is the freshman Breeders' Crown champion, Somewhere Over a Rainbow. You picked her up after Harrisburg last year in her 3-year-old season. Her 2 qualifiers have looked great. Let's roll in the last one. She looks like she's coming back super, and her damn Rainbow Blue, of course, the horse of the year.
Yeah, she has come back super. She's a little bit stronger. She's bigger. She's put on some muscle, which they're going to have to from 3 to 4. We did try to sit her in. Brian was able to sit her in. She races tonight, and then she goes to the matchmaker, but we're ready to roll. I mean, Tim tonight is driving her. He's not going to just do anything crazy, but I certainly expect her to be able to win.
One last question for you. I don't mean to call you old, but you've been around the Meadowlands a long, long time, from the glory days back in the early 80s to now. What do you think of our new building and our new facility?
Oh, it's very nice. This is I did come up here November 30th. That's the last time I raced, and then here tonight. It's nice. It's different, and hope it all works out.
Yeah, I do too, because I'm still paying some college tuition. Joe, thanks for taking some time to join us. Best of luck with your horses tonight and all summer long.
All right, thank you.
Joe Holloway in the Sulky. We're 16 minutes away from opening post. We'll be right back to tee up tonight's action.